It's super interesting, this subject. I, this week, had a friend of mine diagnosed with, I think he'd slipped like 2 discs in his back or
In his
something.
back.
I think it
Yeah.
was disc 5 and 6 or something. And he sent a X-ray of his back into the group chat. And I thought, oh, this is so interesting, because I've had lots of conversations with people on my podcast about sitting and all of these things. I spoke to one particular guy called David Rakelin, who went and studied the Hadza tribe in Africa, I believe, which is a hunter-gatherer tribe. And what he found is they do sit for about 9 or 10 hours a day, but they
squat.
They squat.
I knew that, yes.
So we sit in
they're
chairs.
They're not sitting, they're squatting.
He told me that, I think it was him and Daniel Lieberman told me that they had brought a chair over there.
Yeah.
And like these Hadza tribe had like never seen a chair before. So when they like walked off to go to the toilet, the Hadza were all sitting in the chair. No, but they would take the chair and be like, oh my God. So like all the chairs were taken because they just loved the chairs because they'd like never had chairs before.
Yeah.
So the researchers like couldn't find a chair because all the Hadza were like chilling in the chairs. But typically when they sit for 10 hours a day, they're doing this little mini squat thing, which means their muscles are still activated.
That's right.
But also I think the posture in which they squat is...
Their backs are straight.
Yes. And it sent me down this rabbit hole literally this weekend, looking at why sort of 80% of Americans will complain about back problems.
Yes.
But the Hadza tribe, back problems aren't even like a thing there. He told me it like almost doesn't exist, the idea of having a back problem.
Yeah.
But 80% of us are going to have back problems.
It's endemic. Well, think about it. If I weren't trying to be on my best behavior, I'd be sitting in this chair like this, right?
Like a C-shaped back.
Slunched over. My front core is completely relaxed. My back core is relaxed and stretched out. And so over time, they just get weak and atrophy. It's like laying in a bed. There's no stimulus for them. Plus, my shoulders get all hunched over and my posture becomes like this. And so that's why we just sit in chairs and atrophy. When you're squatting, and I posted recently challenging people to see if they could do a squat like that or get up from a squat like that. And the response I got was overwhelmingly, oh my God, I can't do that. I'll work on it. Because we're so used to sitting in chairs.
They can't do like a single squat, these people are saying.
Get down. Getting down, people can do. Sometimes with falling over. Getting up is the problem.
What would you recommend in order to avoid the back pains, the sort of sedentary death syndrome or whatever it was called? What do I do? Because I have to run a business. I work in an office at a desk.
Yes. Well, you know what? Even simple things. For instance, I bought my assistant a standing desk because when I'm in clinic all day, for 10 hours, the choice for him was sitting at a desk or standing at his standing desk. And so that can go a long way, number one. Number two, taking mini blasts of mobility, right? Getting up, running out the stairs, be a fidgety person, go to the copier, get steps in, just be moving all the time. The other thing, honestly, nobody knows when you're on a phone call what you're doing. You could be wall squatting. In fact, I have challenged whole groups of people in their next board meeting to wall squat the whole time. No, I don't know how much thinking would go on, but just adding little things like that in, you don't have to sit to take a phone call. Even in a Zoom meeting, I mean, people have seen worse than you doing a wall squat, in the time of COVID.
I was wondering this morning on my way here, because I was in the bathroom and I dropped something on the floor. Can't remember what it was. It might have been the toothpaste or something. And I went down to pick it up and my back is just like so tight.
Is it?
Like I feel like my whole body, I'm so unflexible. I like went down to pick it up and the way that I go down to pick it up is, you'd think I was, I was going to say an age then, but that's kind of, after seeing that,
I know.
flanked
You don't
me,
want to,
I'm like,
right.
this guy's got better flexibility than me.
Yeah.
But I just feel like
you're stiff.
I'm stiff as hell. And I don't know what to do about it. I think there's like I don't know. Is it a joint pains that I have, or is it just I don't have strong core?
It could be all those things. So when I talk to people about, to tie into the other question, how should you be working out? How should you be investing in your mobility every day? There are 4 components that we should try to find time for. Number 1 is flexibility and dynamic stretching. So that means is warming up every single joint in your body every day. And that can be as simple as, seriously, a set of jumping jacks, doing, there's something called an inchworm where it's like a push-up position and you walk your feet up and that'll warm up your ankles, your knees, your hips, your shoulders. But going through a dynamic warm-up every day to warm up the joint, putting them through, demanding they go through a full range of motion, and then not forgetting after you work out to static stretch. We don't static stretch before we work out. We static stretch after.
What's that?
But static stretch is what we were taught in elementary school with, you stand against a wall, you hold the stretch for 30 seconds. That happens in every body part after you work out, before you dynamically warm up. And so that's when things like yoga and Pilates, and whether it's reformer Pilates or floor Pilates, or can be great for people. To me, that is the salt and pepper of your workout regimen. It's not just what you do, it's what you sprinkle over it. So that's number one, flexibility. Because the acronym I use is FACE, just so people remember. F, flexibility. A is aerobic, right? We can talk about that. C is this weightlifting we talked about. C, carry a load. E is equilibrium and balance.
Nice.
So when you were reaching over and thinking you were so stiff, you could still do it because you're in your 30s. You still have the youthful pliability to do it. Imagine you're 60 now and you haven't done anything about it and nothing's moving, and you reach over and you don't have the foot speed to catch yourself. You fall over. It happens all the time from a standing position. So the way I teach people to retrain their balance literally is to stand on one foot while you're brushing your teeth every morning, because the perturbation of moving your whole body requires core strength, it requires proprioception, and that's how you'll retrain that particular motion.
So I really need to introduce something like Pilates or yoga to my...
Or just daily stretching.
Okay. For how long?
Well, if you stretch you dynamically warm up before you do anything, including your weightlifting, and then the static stretching afterwards of every major muscle group, whether it's your triceps or whether it's your hamstrings, which are critical for low back pain, or your calves, you hold the stretch without bouncing for 30 seconds. And what you'll feel is at the end of the 30 seconds, you'll kind of relax into it and you'll get more of a stretch. And you only do 4 reps. You are going to get most of the benefit of that stretching after 4 reps. But I don't want you to only do that. I find many people asking me, I do Pilates and yoga, is that enough for me? And I say, that's great, but it's never going to be enough.
One of the other things which is related to this that people see as being inevitable is this idea of joint pain. We think we kind of just get joint pain as we age. Is joint pain inevitable? You've actually brought a big bone with you today, which
I did.
Absolutely nobody asked you to bring, but I guess this is what you
Is
carry
that
around
okay?
with you.
Stephen, this is a femur.
A femur.
A femur, yeah.
This is a human femur. And I guess a femur is
It's the bone that connects your pelvis
Yeah.
to your knee.
Oh, okay, so it's that
Yeah,
big bone
it's
in my
the
leg.
big bone. It's the longest bone in your body.
This bone you brought with you.
Mhm.
A lot of people talk about joint pain.
Yes.
Is joint pain inevitable? I'll give it to you because you
Yeah.
probably know more about this stuff than I do.
So what is a joint?
Yeah.
A joint is the space that's occupied by 2 bones. So the femur, the top of it, that's in your hip, is a ball, and it sits in a cup in your pelvis. So 2 different bones. The pelvis is connected to the femur through the hip joint. It goes like this, right? So, and then on this end of the femur is connected to your tibia, and it makes your knee, right?
Okay.
Yep. So, is joint pain inevitable? It is not. Do we get it with aging? Often, so that you would think it's inevitable, but it is not inevitable. Why do we get joint pain? Well, every bone at the end is covered in an end cap of a structure called cartilage. Cartilage is a smoother than ice matrix that cushions the bone so that you don't feel your joints. One reason people have pain is because they've traumatically disrupted that cartilage and there's potholes in it. Like if you're a football player and you get hit hard and it impacts so hard it pops off. That's a traumatic cartilage injury. You will have joint pain from that. Another reason we can have joint pain is not traumatic cartilage loss, but because you've just done so many reps over a lifetime that you've worn it down. That's called osteoarthritis. And so it's not a pothole per se. It's like the whole surface has been worn down with sandpaper, for instance, and there's just not enough of it. Well, the reason we get osteoarthritis, some of it's genetic, but much of it is how much we weigh. Sometimes it's related, especially in women, to whether or not we have estrogen. We only get one set of cartilage for a lifetime, unless I reconstruct your cartilage because you've been injured or something. We get one set. So we get joint pain because the cartilage has started to wear down. We can get joint pain because we've worked really hard in a workout and we've just seen a lot of impact and it inflames your joint, but that's usually temporary.
The permanent
The
version
permanent
is when you really
usually
wear
due
it.
to osteoarthritis.
So how do I, if I want to work out and I want to make sure that I protect my joints so that I don't have this permanent sort of naturally irreversible joint pain, is there certain workouts that I should be avoiding? Are there certain workouts that are more likely to erode my cartilage and give me joint pain?
Well, I think principles that should be used are the principles of weightlifting with progressive overload. So if you started out cold and decided, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm just going to lift to my maximum all the time, you're probably going to inflame your joint. Your joint is not used to seeing that kinds of load. Joints bear 5 to 10 times body weight. So if you've gone from 0 to 500-pound squat, that is 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Versus if you start from 0 and progressively up, your body will get used to the load. Your bones will build. Your cartilage won't grow, but it will become more used to the pressure. So the principle is to not have aching joints, is progressively go up and not just let your ego take over.
So you're saying that muscle helps to kind of as a suspension mechanism for the cartilage?
Well, what things protect the joints? Being of a healthy body composition, which includes weight and muscle mass, right? So the way muscle helps protect the joints is exactly as you said. Instead of pounding together like this, muscle acts as a shock absorber. So the bones come together more softly.
Okay.
So for people with osteoarthritis, one of the remedies for that is building muscle.
I've got, you mentioned a second ago that staying at a decent weight also helps to stave off joint pains and that sort of erosion of cartilage. And I was reading in your work about this pretty shocking, grab my brick and my rock, this pretty shocking stat.
Yeah.
That, God, this is heavy. You can take that. Okay. I'm going to put it down for you.
Yeah.
In your work, you describe how putting on even a small amount of weight increases the pressure on our joints by a huge amount.
It does.
So can you explain that using this?
Yep. So when we think about pressure across our joint, we're thinking about whether we gain weight or lose weight. The joint, which in this bone is the femur, the end of the femur is sitting against the tibia, and that's what makes your knee joint. When you go up and down the stairs and have pain in your knee, what's happening there? Well, if you gain 1 pound, this rock is 1 pound, you would think that this is all the amount of pressure you're going to feel. But because of the mechanics, the physics of the long bones, the pressure of gravity pushing up on you, what you actually feel is the weight of these bricks, which is 9 pounds.
So gaining 1 pound in weight.
1 pound in weight exerts 9 times the pressure on your joint. So you think gaining 10 pounds doesn't mean much, but imagine gaining 100 pounds of pressure. Or the reverse of that is even small changes in our total body weight, 1 pound, 10 pounds, can have profound effects on the joint pain we feel.
So if I lose 1 pound, I'm
yes,
taking
you're
9
taking
pounds.
this away. What some research shows is that if you lose 10% of your body weight, you can make a profound difference in the pressure your joint experiences and decrease your pain. So when I prescribe treatment for arthritis, here's the whole person approach. If I just wanted to say, okay, you've got arthritis, I'm going to give you an injection and sign you up for surgery, that might be a typical surgical approach. But my approach is we look at your nutrition. We talk about anti-inflammatory nutrition, enough protein, not eating sugar. Sugar is a huge inflammatory, which increases your arthritis pain. We talk about building muscle so that we have more shock absorption. We talk about losing absolute amount of body weight so that we unload the joint in another way. Even before we get to any medical type treatment, it's the lifestyle approaches that you can use.
I would have thought that if I put on 1 pound of weight, I would put 1 pound of pressure on my joints. But what you're saying is if I put on 1 pound of weight, I'm actually putting 9 pounds of pressure on my joints.
Yes. You know, it has to do with across the joint, the physics of the lever arms of our bones. So for instance, in our shoulder, if you put 1 pound in your hand, the pressure felt in your arm because of this long lever arm to lift it is 10 times. So I always tell my patients who are recovering, don't feel discouraged when you lift up the 2-pound weight. It's 20 pounds on your shoulder. It has to do with the physics of pulling the weight up. In axial load, it has to do with the gravity and the impact of bones one on another.
You talk about these 3 major mindset changes that we need to kind of experience in order to make sure that we can be fit and healthy in our later years. Things like not focusing on weight loss, but instead focusing on building muscle. That for me is, again, it's a bit of a narrative violation because I think as we age, one of the things that we see as being inevitable is that we are going to gain weight. So most people go to war with just trying to lose specifically abdominal fat. I think a lot of men are really quite obsessed with their abdominal fat. Why do we need to make that mindset shift?
You know what? And I'll take that shift even further. And I like to frame it as we don't want to lose weight. We want to recompose. What are we made of, right? We want to be made of healthy muscle. We want to care about how much what percentage of our body is fat. We need fat. Fat has a purpose in our body or we wouldn't have it. But what percentage are muscle? So what happens when we just focus on losing weight and our primary method is calorie restriction? What we know, it is clear from many papers that if we just calorie restrict with nothing else, we will lose 25 to 50% of our weight as muscle. And then that makes us metabolically less healthy because muscle is a glucose sink. You know, when we feed ourselves and there's sugar circulating, it is taken up by our muscle. If we lose 25 to 50% as we lose weight, we have less metabolic availability to get rid of all that. And then when we come off our crazy calorie restriction diet, the weight we gain back is 80% fat. So if we're troubled with yo-yo diets, which so many people struggle with that, they'll lose weight, they'll gain weight, they'll lose weight. It becomes this circle as we're continuously losing more muscle. So when I frame it for men and women, I want them to think of recomposing. How, as I'm losing fat percentage, can I gain muscle? And so that puts it in a different perspective. I don't care what you weigh. You know, I'm a muscly woman. I weigh more probably than people would think I would because I have lower body fat, I have higher muscle content. And that's what we care about. And for people, I always chuckle when I say this, that are really interested in the way clothes fit, which I am. I'm as vain as they come. Well, muscle is nature's Spanx. You may weigh more, but you're tighter and everything fits and looks better. So it's not weight, it's composition.
Can we be as in shape as we were when we were 25, when we're 45?
We can be different.
Different, okay.
There are lots and lots of examples all over of either people staying healthy. I mean, look at Tom Brady. He's a great example, right?
Cristiano Ronaldo is a great example.
Oh my God, I just saw him the other day playing, actually in this Europe tournament. I just saw him playing. There are lots of examples of that from pro sports now, but even in mere mortal athletes, they're posting all over the internet how they have maintained, or many people, a light bulb turns off and they say, I'm sitting on my rear end. I'm as strong today as I'm ever going to be unless I do something. And we have pictures of people investing in weightlifting and high protein meals and getting in better shape than they ever were. I was in the best shape of my life when I was 40. And then I went through perimenopause and thought I was going to die. And now I'm 57. I'm in some of the best shape of my life. I'm not 19% body fat like I was when I was 40, but as a whole person, this is the best it's ever been.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.